My husband brought home his mistress's baby, claiming it was from an orphanage. My husband and I had been trying for years without success. He brought home his mistress's baby, claiming we'd adopted from an orphanage. The next day, when he faked his death to run away with her, I discovered I was pregnant. I didn't cry or make a scene. I quietly had them declared legally dead and sent the baby back to the orphanage. Years later, when my son graduated valedictorian and got into Harvard, they suddenly reappeared to claim him. Son, we're your real parents. Chapter 1. I just joined a mom's group when I saw someone post. Ladies, I'm the other woman. Had a baby with my man but don't want to raise it anymore. What should I do? One mom replied. If his wife doesn't have kids, have him pretend the baby is adopted from an orphanage. Let the wife raise it. You and your man can live it up for a few years. When the kid's older, he can divorce her. Then you'll have one at life. I frowned reading this. That evening when my husband Marcus came home from work, I was about to tell him I was pregnant when he spoke first. Honey, we've been married 8 years without kids. Maybe we should adopt? My eye twitched. I remembered the message from the group. I swallowed my news, deciding to test him. Marcus, let's keep trying. I saw the doctor today, she said I can conceive. Forget it. He cut me off impatiently. 8 years of nothing. You think it'll happen now? Besides, Mom's getting older. She's been wanting grandkids forever. You're being selfish as a daughter-in-law. When I stayed silent, he slammed his fork down. Now you're giving me attitude? If you weren't barren, would I need to adopt? Every time I meet friends, they're all fathers except me. I can barely hold my head up. I'm leaving for a business trip in 2 days. We need to get this adoption done now. I laughed coldly inside. If I hadn't known about his mistress's baby, I might have believed him. Seeing his urgency, I had my answer. Before he could speak again, I nodded. Fine. Whatever you want. His face softened slightly. Good to see you being reasonable. I'll bring the baby home tomorrow. Chapter 2. Marcus, who usually showered in minutes, spent ages in the bathroom tonight. By the time he came out, I was already in bed. After he fell asleep, I checked the mom's group again. The mistress had posted an update. Ladies, my man convinced the old hag at home. After we dump the kid on her, we'll fake our deaths and move abroad for our honeymoon phase. In a few years when the kid's older, we'll come back and enjoy the good life, lol. She'd even posted screenshots of their texts. I recognized the half-cropped profile picture. Definitely Marcus. The group was congratulating her cleverness. I couldn't resist posting from my alt account. Aren't you worried about getting caught scheming against his wife? The mistress immediately replied. Caught? That barren cow should be grateful. Now she has a kid to raise. I get a free nanny for my son. Win-win. Reading her shameless posts made my blood boil. I closed the app. Marcus snored beside me, oblivious. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I kicked him hard off the bed. He woke up confused on the floor. I pretended he'd woken me, rubbing my eyes. What happened, honey? Did you sleepwalk again? He rubbed where I'd kicked him, wincing. Muttering curses, he climbed back into bed. Under the covers, he was snoring again in 10 seconds. I touched my stomach. Clenching my fists. You're the ones handing over your baby. Don't expect a happy reunion later. The next day, Marcus brought the baby home early. My mother-in-law Helen looked concerned. Marcus, you and Claire are still young. No need to rush into adoption. Marcus looked uncomfortable. I'm too busy with work, Mom. Flying overseas in a few days. No energy left. You've always wanted grandkids. Look how sweet this adopted baby is. He handed the baby to Helen. I glanced over. The few months old baby did resemble Marcus. Helen looked at me with sympathy. I smiled to show I was fine. That night, the mistress bragged in the group. Baby delivered to the old hag. We're heading abroad. She posted 2 plane tickets. Soon Marcus packed his bags. Mom. The company's sending me overseas for a while. Claire, I'm counting on you to handle everything. Take good care of the baby. He actually hugged me before leaving. Could barely contain his grin. Wait for me, honey. I waved goodbye sweetly. Back in our room, I discovered he'd taken the bank cards from the drawer. That account had our $30,000 savings. I wanted to call and scream at him. But I bit my tongue. Instead, I opened the safe under the bed. Inside were gold bars and several bank cards. My secret stash. Over 8 years of marriage, I'd saved about $300,000. Men are never reliable. Having your own money is what matters. After Marcus left, life continued normally except for the baby. The mistress's last group post was at month's end. Ladies, couple's life is amazing. She shared a sunset photo of them kissing. With an overseas location tag. Chapter 3. I pretended ignorance. Continued caring for the baby and Helen. 2 days later, I came home with prenatal test results. Helen excitedly called Marcus. But dozens of calls went unanswered. She went to his company, only to learn he'd quit a month ago. Marcus had vanished. Helen panicked. Before she could call the police, I tearfully showed her 2 photos. The mistress's plane tickets and kissing photo from the group. Mom, what do we do? Marcus lied to us all. I sobbed. You think he has someone else? That's why he pretended to go overseas. Marcus took all our money before leaving. What will we do? Helen looked at the photos. Her face turned ashen. That bastard. I pretended to faint from distress. When I woke, Helen sat by my bed looking heartbroken. She sighed heavily. Claire, Marcus wronged you. I failed raising him. This is my life savings. It's all yours now. She pressed a bank card into my hand. Mom, I can't take this. I tried to refuse, but Helen insisted. We're all that's left now. You're pregnant and will need money. Take it. Consider it my apology for that worthless son. I couldn't refuse further and tearfully accepted. Then I touched my stomach, as if making a hard decision. Mom, we already have an adopted baby. Maybe I should abort this one. Given our situation. No. Helen interrupted immediately. This is our family's only bloodline. We can't abort. That adopted baby was Marcus's idea. Since he abandoned us, why should we raise it? Return it to the orphanage tomorrow. I was secretly thrilled but kept looking obedient. Whatever you say, Mom. Chapter 4. The next day, I took Marcus's illegitimate child to the orphanage. Listed the reason as both parents deceased. Right after I left, a couple came to adopt. They chose this exact baby. The director said, parents died, just arrived today. Seems like fate brought you together. I quietly observed the adopting couple. A kind-looking middle-aged pair. I stood there thinking. Finally approached and exchanged contacts with them. Back home, I discussed future plans with Helen. Since marrying Marcus, he'd insisted I be a housewife. I'd quit my government job. All these years, we'd lived on Marcus's salary and bonuses. Now he was gone, so was our income. Though I had savings, they wouldn't last forever. Pregnant, returning to work would be even harder. After much thought, I decided to start my own business. Mom, I want to start a food truck. Helen immediately removed her gold bracelet. Business needs capital. Take this. Sell it if you need emergency funds. I quickly put it back on her wrist. Mom, I can't. This was from Dad before he passed. Too precious. Marcus may be heartless, but your kindness stays in my heart. I won't abandon you. Helen hugged me, crying. I had selfish reasons too. As a single pregnant woman, leaving my in-laws would mean working while raising a baby alone incredibly hard. With Helen's help, I could focus on making money. Creating better conditions for my child. Gradually, my food truck business grew. So did my belly. When I opened my first restaurant, my baby was born. Holding my son, I laughed at Marcus's stupidity. Had a good life but chose to fake his death. This family no longer needed him. Soon my son turned 4. Without a father figure, he noticed something was wrong. I didn't hide the truth. This family might have other men someday, but never Marcus again. I told my son everything. He understood despite the harshness. Better than being kept in the dark. 3 years later, my son entered the city's best elementary school. My company went public. I was named one of the year's most valuable female entrepreneurs. We moved to a bigger house with 2 housekeepers. Helen spent mornings at dance class, afternoons at the spa, then picked up her grandson from school. Our family had completely forgotten Marcus existed. But some people can't stay buried. Years later, the mistress's mom group became active again. Still posting from abroad, she wrote. Ladies, after years overseas, my health's declining. Had a hysterectomy last year. My man and I miss our son so much. Any way to reunite our family? Chapter 5. As if I was a free nanny. Dump the kid when inconvenient, want him back when you can't have more. Not happening. I hired a private investigator. The mistress was Marcus's former assistant intern, Rachel Morrison. After years missing, the Morrison family hadn't looked for her. I posed as a census taker visiting their home. Informed them that missing persons over 3 years could be declared legally dead. They filled out the forms without hesitation. Still complaining. That girl just started working, we thought she'd help buy her brother a house. Instead she ran off with some man overseas. Years without a single call. Dead or alive, who knows? We wrote her off. Long ago. I quietly collected the paperwork. At home, I discussed having Marcus declared dead with Helen. I was nervous mentioning it. After all, he was her only son. What if she still had hope? But Helen immediately got the documents from the cabinet. What else do you need besides this? If you're too busy, I can file tomorrow. Did it for your father-in-law, I know the process. Helen didn't hesitate. Made Marcus officially dead. Even if he returned someday, he'd just be undocumented. My last worry disappeared. The process went smoothly. Marcus's information was finally erased from our family register. I also had Rachel declared dead for good measure. Both completely erased from society. As for that mom group, I reported it. The platform shut it down the next day. Good things kept coming. My restaurant chain's focus on American heritage earned media praise. The former submissive housewife was now a respected Fortune 500 CEO. When my son reached freshman year, he and Helen started worrying about my love life. I decided not to date until he left for college. But they were more anxious than me. My son feared I'd be lonely when he left for university. Helen worried about leaving me alone after she passed. They kept pushing me to meet people, consider remarrying. A client named James, a few years younger, had been pursuing me persistently. Despite multiple rejections, he wouldn't give up. After careful consideration, I accepted. I chose him because besides our compatible economic status, he knew about my previous marriage. If we married, he'd accept my son and mother-in-law. Though Marcus was scum, Helen and my son were my most important family. Chapter 6. We married 3 years later. James transferred 51% of his company shares as a wedding gift, essentially giving me his company. After marriage, worried my son and Helen might feel displaced, James moved into our home instead. He treated my son as his own, Helen as his mother. We formed a happy family again. The missing male presence was perfectly filled by James. This summer was my son's SAT day. Our whole family cheered him on at the test center. A month later, results came out. My son was the state's top scorer, accepted early to Harvard. At his celebration dinner, Marcus and Rachel suddenly appeared after 18 years. We'd invited all friends and family. Everyone toasted my son's Harvard acceptance. The banquet doors suddenly burst open. A man and woman entered. Gaunt faces, ragged clothes, looking like refugees. Muttering something incomprehensible. Before they got close, James called security to remove them. They shouted, "Let us go. We're this valedictorian's real parents. Try touching us now." The room fell silent. They broke free from security, rushing to my son. "Son, that bitch lied to you. We're your real parents." My son hid behind me, frightened. I stared coldly at them. Marcus was thinner, hair gray, but recognizable. The woman I recognized from old photos. Definitely Rachel. I sneered, crossing my arms. "Aren't you supposed to be dead?" He scoffed. "You're the one who's dead, stupid woman. Thanks for raising our son for 18 years without knowing. And making him valedictorian too. We don't need you anymore. Today we're claiming our child." Rachel stared at my son hungrily. "Son, you've grown so big. I'm your real mother." Before she finished, she got slapped. Helen had somehow appeared beside Rachel. She slapped the other cheek too. Crazy woman, scaring my grandson. Rachel held her face in shock, tears welling as she looked at Marcus. Marcus quickly defended her. "Mom, she gave you a grandson. Why hit her?" "Nonsense." Helen slapped Marcus too. "Who's your mother?" "My son died years ago. I don't know you." Security, drag these imposters out. Marcus struggled wildly. "Mom, it's really me. I'm not dead. Did Claire, that barren woman, trick you? I'm alive, how could I be dead?" This time it wasn't a slap but James's kick. "Watch your mouth." Marcus hit the ground hard, glaring at James. "So you're Claire's affair partner? Who are you to lecture me?" Perfect timing. Besides taking my son, I'm divorcing Claire today. He pulled out divorce papers. "Sign this. Then we go our separate ways." Meeting their expectant gazes, I signed without hesitation. Rachel snatched the papers immediately. As if afraid I'd change my mind. She smiled at my son. Her wrinkled face looked like a chrysanthemum. "Son, come with us." She reached for my son's hand. I slapped it away hard. "Who says he's your son?" Chapter 7. Hearing this, Marcus and Rachel froze. After a long pause, they said in unison. "What do you mean?" I looked at them coldly. "Exactly what I said. Not your son means not your son. Would I lie?" Rachel collapsed, face pale. "Impossible. You're lying. Marcus clearly said he gave you our baby." Marcus looked panicked too. "Yes. Mom saw me bring the baby home." "Mom, explain what happened." He grabbed Helen's shoulders, shaking her. Helen shoved him away disgustedly. She grabbed a wine glass and threw it in Marcus's face. "Pa. Heartless bastard. Took all our money and expected us to raise your bastard. I'll never acknowledge that illegitimate child as family. You shameless creatures, get out." Hearing this, I looked at Helen in surprise. She nodded, giving me a reassuring look. Helen had known all along. That was unexpected. Marcus stared wide-eyed in disbelief. "Mom, you choose this unrelated woman over your own grandson? Have you gone senile?" Helen spat at him. "I have no son like you. Abandoning your wife and child for 18 years, ignoring your own mother. Claire may not be my blood, but she's been my daughter all these years. Her child is my only grandchild." Helen turned away. In disgust. Not wanting another word with them. James immediately called security. Marcus and Rachel were forcibly removed. As they left, Rachel kept screaming at me. "Where's my son? Claire, where did you hide my baby? Tell me." I didn't answer. Just watched coldly as she raved. After they left, the banquet finally calmed down. Helen took the microphone, slowly telling everyone about Marcus's disgraceful acts. Everyone shook their heads listening. All defending me. My God, Marcus faked his death to elope with his mistress. Shameless. Right, how dare they come back for the child? Disgusting. If they came to us desperate, we'd throw them out. Being Related to such people is embarrassing. After this scene, Marcus was truly abandoned by all. Every friend and relative would turn away seeing him. Even former colleagues blocked his contacts. Back home, Helen comforted me. Claire, I only learned about the illegitimate child a few years ago. I wasn't hiding it from you. Like I told Marcus, he's been dead to me for years. You're my only daughter. I won't acknowledge that bastard child. My nose stung. I gripped Helen's hand tightly. Mom, I should thank you. Without your help all these years, I might not have made it. My son clenched his fists too. Mom, I'll protect you. If that bad man bothers you again, I'll beat him up. He shadowboxed the air. His antics made me laugh. James gently squeezed my shoulder. Today was my fault. I was focused on our son's celebration, didn't arrange enough security. That's how those lowlifes got in. Don't worry. I'll install more cameras and hire bodyguards for the house. No one will hurt our family again. James kept his word. But you can't guard against everything. Days later, I was intercepted on my way to work. By Marcus and Rachel, of course. Like vengeful ghosts. This time, I'd see what they wanted. Chapter 8. Marcus and Rachel were now undocumented. Nowhere to go domestically, let alone find work. Just days later, they looked homeless. Reeking of sour odor. Calling them vagrants wasn't wrong. I pinched my nose in disgust. What now? Wasn't I clear before? Rachel glared venomously. You bitch, where's my son? Give him back. I laughed. Your son's missing. Call the police. I'm not a cop, why ask me? Rachel turned red then white at my words. She'd thought about reporting to police. But as an undocumented person herself, she'd be detained before filing a report. Marcus shouted on the street. Claire, if you don't tell me where my son is, I'll make your life hell. Just wait, I'll make sure your son can't show his face at university. I stared at him hard. Marcus had sunk this low. Threatening my son's safety. Fine, no more mercy. I spoke slowly. All right. I'll reunite your family now. I drove to an orphanage and stopped. We're here. Get out. I watched them coldly. Led them through the orphanage grounds. Finally stopped at a standalone building. Go in. Your son's inside. Marcus and Rachel suddenly looked hesitant. Claire, better not be playing games. We're undocumented now, nothing to lose. I smiled coldly. What, getting cold? Feet about seeing your son? Don't want to see him? Then leave. Hearing this, they couldn't back down. After exchanging glances, they pushed the door open. Someone lay quietly on the bed inside. Eyes closed, as if sleeping. Up close, the young face resembled Marcus. Rachel grew nervous and excited. Yes, he's my son. I can feel it. Tears in her eyes, she rushed to the bedside, grabbing his hand. Marcus was emotional too. Son, I'm your father. Wake up and look at us. But no matter how long they called or how loudly they shouted, the person remained motionless. Their faces grew panicked. What's wrong? Why? Won't he open his eyes? Claire, what did you do to him? I sat on the sofa, legs crossed leisurely. Few years ago, he was in a car accident with his adoptive parents. They died. Your son became a vegetable. Their faces went white, collapsing to the floor. Impossible. You did this. I'll kill you. Marcus lunged at me with a vicious expression. The bodyguards James had hidden nearby appeared immediately. Kicked him hard to the ground. I looked at them coldly. Blame yourselves. Have a child then abandon him. When something happens, blame others. If all parents were as irresponsible as you, children would be the innocent victims. With that, I left without looking back. Behind me erupted mournful wailing. Even at the orphanage entrance, I could still hear their cries. Days later, the orphanage director texted me. Marcus and Rachel had taken their son. Where the three went, no one knew. None of my concern anymore. I was taking our family of former valedictorian son, gentle husband, carrying mother-in-law on vacation before my son started Harvard. Enjoying life's precious moments. The end.